that's basically all I wanted to say. So I'm going to take first turn because I don't have much to say. You guys can watch my channel all day long, but what I wanted to say was just a couple of quick things about what I see, okay? And Ida and I have had some major conversations over this in the last day or two because I do receive information from people inside. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the government level, you know, the legal jurisdiction. We're talking about common law and above. So I'm not talking aliens or anything like that. It's just humans that are at different, I guess the only word I can use is levels or layers, whatever, of consciousness within the banking system, okay? And yes, we are moving to some sort of asset-backed funding, okay, and finance, okay? So when I say that, there's two things going on. There's going to be big funding releases from asset-backed accounts that have been blocked forever. And those accounts are just humongous. Like when I say that I've seen quadrillion-dollar written numbers on accounts and stuff, I've seen that, okay? You can't see that kind of credit except for on a piece of paper or on a document or something like that. So that's what I've seen. And I believe it. And there's no doubt in my mind. A lot of money from even oil from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, a lot of that just gets blocked in the banks because the governed minds want to control the flow of currency, right? And they do, and they have, but that's changing. And this idea of asset-backed currency coming back on, whether you talk about that at the level of governed mind and talk about Donald Trump releasing a gold-backed dollar, fine, that's okay. It's just that there's something happening. I've asked my people and they come back to me with the same question or same answer every time. Are we moving away from this fraudulent birth certificate bullshit that started in 1871, kicked up in 1944, and then kicked right into high gear in 1971, and they all say yes. Okay, so that's the kind of switch that we're seeing. And I have to be a little bit patient with the governed mind stuff. I know that. And I don't have anything against Donald Trump as a human being, but the idea of POTUS and the corporate limited structure, those two words, think about it. It's just both of them mixed together in your mind. Limited. There is no limit to capital. There is no limit to assets. There is no limit to accounts. There's no limit to gold. There's no limit to fuck all. So we are going out of that limited corporate mindset into a beautiful place. So, co-cosmic breather. I'm going to lead it off and then I'm going to pass it on to whoever William chooses next. O-cosmic breather. As you all know, my tendencies roll a little bit towards the Christ story or Christ all light, but I'm just going to say this quickly, the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. O cosmic breather of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being, and soften the ground of our being and allow, holy shit, man, I'm losing it. I got you going too fast. O cosmic breather of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a face within us where love can exist. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give up. I'm too excited. I can't say it. So whoever's next is next. That's all I want to say. I love you guys.
Thank you, Randy. Is there anyone else who feels motivated to speak next? And just raise your hand so I can see you, and then that way I can call upon you.
Before we go in, I'd just like to say, hiya, Benjamin. And I don't know your name that's just jumped in at the bottom. JML?
JML.
Yeah, you're on mute, my friend. Hiya.
We have 13. What a fabulous number.
Man.
Beautiful.
That'd be perfect. Jesus and the 12 apostles.
That'll do.
I love that.
So the theme that Randy has offered is, what do you see coming? And that's what Randy was sharing about. Yes.
To that, because speaking of the 13, it just segues perfectly into what I was thinking in relation to that question. I get off everything through my writing, because I'm a fictional writer, And I have seen a trend in my writing where I'm actually predicting things that are coming, but nothing literally, but you get an overall sense of what's coming. And I've been writing in the future in the last few months. And what I'm writing is that I'm seeing all these communities springing up everywhere, post-pandemic communities. And and I wrote that there's still people who are still wearing masks, as I put it, still believing it all. So that still exists, and there's still that world there, but it's minuscule in comparison to those who are learning to know who they are, growing within. And in these communities, what I saw in the number 13 came in because my character is a teacher, but in a school that's more like an unschool in this community. And she has 13 children.
Oh.
And I had written that about the number 13 that came into the story. But also that there is still the monetary system still being used, but most of these communities aren't really using it anymore. They're using a combination, but mainly doing trading and bartering between communities.
Ooh.
That's as far as I've written so far. So it's been really exciting writing it and seeing what's coming out.
Wonderful. Can I, just for my benefit, other people may know you, I do not yet. I do not know your first name.
D.
D. Thank you for sharing, D. I was about to add that we've heard the expression that truth is stranger than fiction, but sometimes fiction can be more honest than the physical reality, it seems, at times.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Is anyone else feeling called to say something on this topic?
I will.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Yeah, I was going to wait a while, but after Dee spoke, it just, kind of struck me because, yeah, it resonated a lot. I don't even know I have so much going through my mind. I don't know where to start, except that I go a lot based on my intuition, the things that my gut just tells me. And back in 2006, I think it was, I had this, it was 2004. I bought a house and my gut kept telling me that it was not a good idea. And I'm not a financial person, and I never even balanced my checkbook. I mean, it's just my gut kept telling me that it wasn't a good idea. And I asked other people, what they thought, is this a good time to buy a house? And everyone told me, oh yes, in California, you just cannot go wrong in real estate, and just do it. And so I did it. And then, fast forward, I had a 5-year loan, interest only loan. I hadn't planned on keeping the house very long. And so when time came to put it on the market, the prices started going down, blah, blah, blah. And so fast forward to 2008, the market crashed. And, I had put everything I had into that house, and I lost everything. And so it just taught me a huge lesson about trusting my gut. And then fast forward to now, I've also had this feeling that all of this, I didn't know it was going to manifest in the form of this, this virus and, all this, but I just sensed that the fiat, I didn't even know what a fiat money system was, but I just had this sense that there's no bones to it. There's no structure. It just doesn't feel real. Like this money is coming out of like thin air or something. Like I thought it's just not sustainable. And then lo and behold, all this stuff that we see happening is happening now. And then, so I also see, my gut is telling me now in the foreseeable future that we're going to move towards more of an earth world order, instead of a new world order, like more in line with nature and how nature operates, and like what Dee was saying about communities and gift economy, and that scarcity has been this illusion that's been done purposefully to keep us enslaved to a system, and that system's breaking down, and I just feel it's gonna be very messy as it breaks down, but it's making way for the new that's coming. And and time is only an illusion, in a quantum sense. So and when Dee's story is actually going, it's like creating the space for us to move into. And so I don't know, I'm very fragmented because I'm trying to keep it short, but I just came to this group on a whim, reached out to Randy, and with really nothing in my mind as to why I was going to be here. But I keep listening to Randy's videos, and there's just something about the things that he says that just resonates. Even though I don't understand what he's saying, it just resonates. I can see the world moving into this gift economy somehow, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm grateful that I decided to show up today. Looking forward to hearing what you all have to say too.
You're still on mute, Roman.
Wonderful.
You're still on mute, buddy.
Who are we talking about, Lee?
Roman's got his hand up, but he's still on mute.
Yeah, I have to recognize him first, but Roman, go
sorry.
ahead. And
Sorry.
once you unmute yourself, I'm sure you'll know how to do it. Welcome, Roman. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, Roman Light, Frenchman living in Australia. I've been in the path of awakening for probably the last 10 years now. My journey started with understanding the secret language of nature, the esoteric knowledge, hermetic laws, natural laws, going through experimentation in physics, cold fusion, cold electricity, Tesla's, radiant energy, doing experiments, working on foundation, sovereign laws, working on community principles, creating new paradigm, understanding new type of governance. I advocate for this sovereign space since the last 4 years. I was the spokesperson for the Yellow Vest movement in France, exported the Yellow Vest movement overseas around the idea of the citizen initiated referendum, specialized in numbers theory and sacred geometry, sacred arithmetic. I understand the language of numbers and how creation only use one language, which is love, basically. Understanding mathematically, geometrically, physically, how all this is organized itself, how opposition is just an illusion, that duality is just two sides of the same coin, that God is infinity and nothingness reunified into one experience, that we are, that reality is. And I've been alone for many years and tried to spread this message of this net plane. And I see Randy laughing, so we know what it means. This is not a planet, this is a net plane of existence, and we're playing a game, and this game is starting to get a bit boring because it's hijacked by psychopaths, and we just want something new. So I spent the last 4 years advocating for cryptocurrency, and now I'm teaching myself to become a trader on cryptocurrency to access to abundance and get ready for the next step, which is explaining to science what is the correlation between solar flares and DNA and how everything that is alive is connected to the same movement. Because there's only wave, there's only oscillation, there's only cyclicity, which is one principle. The most fundamental principle being care. It's what we care that get manifested. So if he doesn't care, if it doesn't matter. If you do not care, it doesn't matter. So care for each other, care for the world, care for what you want to manifest, and just trust the universe, because it's infinity, infinity combined with nothingness. And humility is there to teach you that no matter what you think you know, you only push away the limit of your ignorance. So you never know what's going to happen. Just be hopeful, because reality is. If reality wasn't, then there will be despair, but reality is. Always remember that, because reality is, therefore there is an order, and because there is an order, therefore there is hope. That's that simple. So chaos is just a state of transition between two states of order. You have order there, you have order there, and you have a mess in between. That's what we're going through right now. That has been predicted for eons, and we're just here waiting for the right things to happen. Meanwhile, enjoy your life, make love, eat food, wine, cheese. I'm French.
Sorry.
And dance before the apocalypse. Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Roman.
I love that. Yeah.
So romantic. It's wonderful.
Magnifique.
That
I
needs
love it.
to be a quote. Dance before, that needs to be a quote. Dance before the apocalypse.
Ah,
You need to write that and own that, Roman.
a
Actually,
good one.
I had a question for Roman before we move to the next person, whoever that person may be. You said something very interesting that I know I've heard before, and I'm sure many people here, if not everyone here, has heard before, and that is that you were saying we are all connected. And the question popped into my head, do you think that we would behave and act differently as a group, as all the individuals in the world, if we would behave differently if we all knew that, if we were all aware that we are all connected? Would we treat the world differently? Would we treat the people differently? Would we treat each other differently?
Well, the simple answer is that reality is perfect the way it is. So there is no would it. It is happening when it has to happen. So there's no need to do things. Just be yourself, and by being yourself, you're going to trigger people. By triggering people, they will behave the way they have to behave. That's the good news. The good news is that there's nothing else to do than being yourself. The bad news is that it's a long process, and and that long process can take time and trigger our patience, and because we want things to go faster, but the ignorance of the two aspects of order and chaos is the responsible for this. Order is amazing because from order you can leave something. However, order becomes boring very quickly. That's why chaos is here to bring motion, and that motion is chaotic and scary, and we move into that ignorant space, but it's what brings excitement. And we are going through that dance of order and chaos, which is bored and scared, and bored and scared, and bored and scared. And the only way to get out of it is just to understand that dynamic and just observe it. You just observe this dynamic. Oh, I'm getting scared. Okay, not a problem. I just recognize that sphere inside of me, which is basically the finite aspect of myself, the aspect that doesn't want things to go on. And then when I'm going to infinity, I'm like, oh shit, this is too much. This is way too much. So I just want to count down and go back into order. And that's the dance. And when people realize that dance is just going on over and over, because evolution is a motion. It's motion that comes from the inside out and the outside in. Inside out, outside in. So when it's going back to inside, outside in, it's structuring, it's strengthening, it's getting denser. It's the feminine aspect of things. It's just getting more dense and stable. However, when it's stable, it gets boring. So therefore, it needs to expand, and that's the masculine chaos that just go into the unknown and bring back these scare things, which is what we're living now. Like the order is just becoming so strong that it's becoming it's annoying. Like we see the same thing going on over and over year after year. We just see the same people getting killed. We see the same hunger over the world. We just see the same system going on because we are governed by psychopaths who wants to create the Third World War, destroy humanity, and have the great Israel getting back to the world. I'm sure you know what I mean, like who I'm talking to. And those people have a purpose, and this purpose is to bring chaos on earth. And this chaos is there because reality is. And because reality is, we need huge amount of chaos to be able to bring what reality is all about, which is evolution. And evolution is not about order or chaos. It's about both. And giving an opportunity to consciousness to choose between devolution and evolution. And to do that, you need to destroy and you need to rebuild. And you need to destroy and you need to rebuild. And you need to destroy and rebuild. And this is the story of time. Like this is what the Egyptian was talking about Horus and Osiris and Thes. This is Satan and Jesus. This is the same story going on and on and on and on since eons. and we're just living the same thing. And your goal in that space is, are you going to participate to that, or are you going to look at the world with no hate, which is the goal of existence, I believe. Look at the world with no fear and no hate, and just be yourself. And by being yourself, you inspire others, and by inspire others, you just become, let's say, Randy. You become a Randy. Just spread love all over the world with no expectation. And that's what people hope. They just expect that, just receiving unconditional love with no judgment. I don't know if I answer your question, but that's the way I answer things.
No, that's great. Thank you, Roman. Randy, you wanted to jump in and say something.
My pleasure.
Just a real quick one on that love and that energy. So I'm back here in Bank of Montreal, completely empty, the towers, right? And the security guards know me and everything, so they just let me do whatever the hell I want right now, you know? And it's a huge tower, but that love from all of you is vibrating through my phone, through this windowsill, through the beams. It's going right through this whole fucking bank, and you can imagine, it's just like, I can feel it in here. It's going, oh, we got all this funding. Let's just let it go to these lovers.
We can't hold on anymore. Let it go.
That's it. Next.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else feeling inspired to speak next about what you might see coming, or what you think you might see coming, or feel that you might see coming for the world? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah,
Anthony.
What I see is, well, what I have been seeing since this whole pantomime or whatever one of the show, the shit show I call it, has been going on. Is bubbles. I think they call them echo chambers, don't they? Of people discussing truth, religion, or not religion, but you know, spirituality. I see them bursting because people have saturated each other with all these thoughts and feelings and conversations going on within these bubbles, and I feel like they've got to burst, and these people there's got to be more connection occurring, even though it's occurring online. The etheric connection, the physical connection has got to occur, you know. And that's what I'm manifesting and creating in my mind, is because we're moving back to England shortly in the next couple of months, and we've got friends and family who are talking about living a non-harmful lifestyle, you know, in harmony, you know, with each other, you know, and just helping and sharing and being good. And, you know, that's what I'm manifesting.
Beautiful.
And I feel I can see it happening with friends and family, you know. So that's what I've got to say.
Thank you.
I do that every day. I manifest that, you know, people coming together and sharing physically, not just through a screen, you know, with touch, because that's what we're lacking, is the touch. Yep. and the you know, the facial expressions, and you know, you don't get the same, do you, with the screen being there. It's a mirror, you know.
Yep.
It's a little hard to touch someone when you're at least 2 meters apart, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You do touch each other, but you know, there's another touch, isn't there? There's your field, you know, it spreads out so far. And that's why they want the 6 meter distance apart and the masks on and all the rest of this behaviour, what's going on, you know, to stop that from occurring. Because it's going to happen. I feel like all the bubbles are going to burst and everyone's going to come together who needs to come together, you know, because it's too powerful. Light overcomes all these mental. The wars will stop, the worrying will stop. Because that's what worries are, the wars. That's why there's wars going on, you know. There you go.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. I kind of feel inspired to jump in here with my own thought, and Danusha, I'll have you right after me. Just before we do these calls, which is typically around 2:30 Mountain Time in North America, I do a meditation, and during my meditation today before this call, it was I found it a little bit harder to center myself. I was thinking about this call. I was thinking about what we'll speak of and all of that kind of thing. I was jumping into the future, and then I kept pulling myself back. But one of the thoughts that popped in, which I love, was I was reminded of one of my favorite movies, and that movie was called The Truman Show. And we all remember what the main character was about that. But for anyone who maybe didn't see the movie, just a quick summation. There was a baby born. Jim Carrey played the role, and there was this baby born inside his own little world, but the world was televised. So they televised this baby's life from being a baby all the way up to adulthood. And everything was scripted, everything was controlled, and we just followed his life as things went along. And the whole movie, the whole idea was, as the movie was approaching its climax point, we were all noticing that we were, or at least for me anyways, I was noticing that I really wanted Truman to wake up and step out of the world that he was in and step into the real world that he was in, or moving to discover a new level for himself. And there have been times during this, the last 9 months, especially with all of the chaos that, Roman alluded to, that I just kind of felt like that's what we all are. For those of us who maybe aren't awake yet or just wakening up, is we're all Trumans. We're all in the process of seeing something differently and seeing something much grander, something much more than what we thought was there. And I just love that movie. I just kept seeing us as a whole bunch of Trumans waking up and stepping out that door, running into that psych that looked like the sky and climbing those stairs into the dark door that led to a whole new world. And I wanted to share that because I see that coming. I see that as maybe a bit of a scary place for some people, but a place I think that a lot of us are going to make that decision to step into. So that's what I saw for myself and share with everyone. Danusha was next. I saw her hand.
Yeah, hello. Well, I'm not as a 3D thing, if people want to know what I am, but go and find out about me if you're interested, is as people may see as a seer and a healer. And in my world, it comes in many different dimensions. I see things that other people necessarily can't. Heal things other people can't necessarily heal and connect with, because obviously it's quite vague being a seer and a healer, because it's all individual. But I'm not going to go on about me. You can find out about me. I'm just going to dive into the bits of conversation that I've heard. So with Dee, when we mentioned the 13, what was coming in my head when you were speaking as well was the 13. And again, these are all they're kind of paradigms, myths, but they do have resonance. So we've got the 13 skulls. That's people talk about the mysteries of the 13 skulls. And then you've also got gateways and portals, energy systems around the planet. Again, we got basics, numbers 17, 13, because everything means something. Numerology, zodiac, everything means something. And there's lots of different stories about what these mean in numbers, the energy systems, the chakras, but it all means something. And it's being able to find that information in a clear way. But it's only usually going to be clear for you, because we can change your mind about numbers. We can change your mind about chakras, energy systems. Anyway, that was all coming into my head. Just connecting with the systems. Also, the energies of Lemuria, which is with beautiful Huna. I don't know if you remembers, bless you, but we did have a conversation a few months ago. And it was reminding me of the energies that are coming forth now, the Atlantean, the Lemurian energy. It's like it's coming full circle. The frequencies, the vibrations are just honing in gently. Again, with sound, tuning, knowledge, wisdom, numbers, being able to be silent in those areas, and very similar, like doing the energy, working in ley lines around sacred sites, how the connection of everything is just phenomenal. And how do I see the coming times? Well, I only can see the coming times by the visions that I've ever had of the past decade. And I know in my world, because they're the things that I'm going to achieve and do in the time that I've got on this plane, which is a long time, and I've got a lot to squeeze in. But to see, because I think so many people want them one answers, don't they? They just want the everything. They're all getting sucked into finding the answer, the next step, because we're so used to believing we know everything, believing we know the next step by formulas, by structures, but we never know nothing. It's constantly unknown. Once we're out of a structure, we're in the unknown, which is everything. It's every moment to moment. It's always unknown. And I just see it as if I want to break it down, like, let's just say a step ladder, however many rungs you want to have it on. And just even as a breakdown of an example, in the next 10 years, they need our energy of love, because no matter what you might experience, to embrace, and whether it's rage, anger, you want to hurt somebody by seeing the pain and the suffering, you've got to embrace those feelings because of you as a human being. But we know ultimately you can never understand anything till you find the love in it. It's almost like falling to your knees in the gratitude that you found love in it, in the evil, in the hate, whether it's a personal thing of somebody that you know of in this lifetime, or if you're looking at the chaos, the collective, whatever that is, or even historical in timelines or past lives, people say. I might be going off on a tangent, but hey, whatever. I'm sure it makes sense to somebody, somewhere, somehow. So I see it as the healing is going to be individual. The healing is to thyself, to know thyself, and it's the only way you will ever heal. So through the chaos, through the revealing of the structures, revealing of the skylines to exactly what really does exist, is unnerving. It's totally unknown, but something deep inside of us remembers it. And I do believe this is a time of, it's not the Great Awakening, but obviously it's a great thing that everybody's trying to connect to, hold on to. To me, it's the greatest. It's times of remembering. Your cells vibrate on so many levels, different levels, and they sing, they harmonize, and they're remembering. They're the moments of tearful joy, or even like, oh my God, I knew all that, or I couldn't word it, I couldn't articulate it. But we have the memory inside of us. So to me, it's the greatest of remembering of who we are, why we exist. And it's a sacred time. I know people talk about forgiveness and finding forgiveness in themselves. And to me, is God's already forgiven you. You wouldn't exist. They need us here as much as we need them when we can't see them or connect with them for support, whether it's a loved one that's passed over, whether you believe in the angelic realm, whatever that is, everything is there. And it's learning to trust thyself to go into all the emotions, to be able to stand of why you even exist here. Because it's beautiful why you exist. You're unique. I'm not you, you're not me. We've all got our own individual beauty of why we're here. And to me, is we're holding each other's hands and we have to help people. So I know what I've got to do and what I will be doing, which excites the heck out of me, the humanitarian that I've got inside of me. I can't help it. But yes, there's going to be tears, there's going to be pain, there's going to be so many different things, but it's we're there to help rise them, hold them hand. It's not that I told you so, wake up. No. When we see them in shock, we put our arm around them. When we see them crying, we nurture them in some way. That is my way of working. I'm going to stop there and just pause.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danisha. Who's feeling inspired to speak and share?
Ida,
Ida. Hi, Ida. Oh, we have to unmute you first.
you're muted, Ida.
Muted, love.
Ida, unmute, please.
Lee, I saw you put your hand up before me. Do you want to go?
No, you go.
You sure? Okay. I want to say a hallelujah after that one. That's like a hallelujah.
Yes.
And you know what? As you were, I don't know, I feel like that was channeled from some other place inside of you. It was bringing up so many things for me. So the thing that I know is I want to thank you all for your individual contribution to the all. That is so amazing. So thank you. So far, what I've heard is, oh my God, thank you for your contribution to the all. And Roman, oh, Roman disappeared. Roman said a word that really sparked with me because it's something I learned this year in this fabulous year of transitioning. You used the word care. I learned a new concept. So in my world, everybody talks about self-care, you know, you've got to do these things for self-care, but someone showed me another way of looking at that. And they said, it's not, self-care is not where it's got to be at. It's caring for self. Totally different concept than self-care. Self-care is like, oh, go take a bath, light a candle, well, you know. Caring for self is huge. It's huger than self-care. And so what that means is you've got to give a shit about yourself more than anyone or anything as your contribution to the all. So once you're able to care for yourself in that capacity, more than anyone or anything, that is what you give back inside the all. That type of care, right? And so that really excited me when you used that word, Roman. It reminded me of that. Thank you. And I just wanted to say that what I got today, I was in the middle of a forest with my adult child, and I just all of a sudden thought, this is what next year, even though I'm in present moment now, I feel like this is gonna go like further. And what I experienced was incredible abundance. So the word abundance came to me, and then I had a chat with Randy, and he's telling me that the floodgates are going to open with all this abundance from funding and whatever. And I thought, wow, I just felt that in the forest. And then the next thing I got was health. Health. Our health is going to, like, if there's anything that's going on health-wise, I feel like we're going, and with that word came heal, health and heal, right? And healing to me, I don't know about everybody else, is a lifelong process. It doesn't happen in the blink of an eye. It's a process, and it's lifetime, right? So those are the things. I think our health is part of the abundance, and so is the healing. So it all encapsulates in the abundance. And that's kind of what I was getting today about what's to come.
Thank you, Ida.
Yeah, thanks.
Can I say something else? Am I all right to speak, or does anybody else want to speak?
Danush, you can jump in.
Okay.
Again.
Another take on all this, for me, as I've always shown with people, is abundance it's a word, and abundance can mean anything. And most people would say the abundance is monetary, materialism. But again, abundance is your own little island. It could be abundance of health, abundance of just your family unit, well-being, humanitarianism, whatever that is. That's, to me, is like an abundance. And I just want to go on another take for the audience as well, because I feel this is, I think because people see or believe in the funds being opening for the trading, as we've all been traded upon. Yes, it can be a beautiful thing. And I can see people's excitement in that and the energy in that. And again, I just see people getting lost in that. And to see that, if you think you're out of chaos, no, that ain't happening. It's still part of the chaos. It has to be. Because let's say, example, you have £1 million in the bank. Actually, let's say you got 10, who cares? And then you'd be thinking, right, we can go on this holiday, we can buy that car. And I'm like, well, let's just hold back here. You might not be able to go on holiday because who wants to work and clean the rooms that you used to go in, sleep in and stay in? Who wants to work there? Who wants to be a receptionist? They've got 10 million now. It's like, I don't want to do a job now. That paid me bills, my rent, I don't care. So let's say that industry peters out. You want to buy the car. Who's going to make the cars? They've got the money now. They're not bothered. The people working in the petrol stations, they're not bothered anymore. So to see, it's almost like, there you go. Do you see? You didn't realize, as we've all had to go through this anyway, that you have all the materialism in the world. You own your house, you bought your car, whatever that is. You've got all the money in the world. Now what? Where's still your passion? Because that means the houses are worthless. They mean nothing now. Where do you travel to? Where do you experience? From all those jobs of making clothes, all these industries that just did it just to get the bucks in, to get the pounds in, just to pay a bill. Even though they hated the job, they just did it. So then it's right, so that your passion and your soul has to now be in what you believe to deliver. That will be of use to your community, to the greater picture, to humanity, your creations, your ideals. Who wants to work in factories? Who wants to work, make the foods anymore? It's like, exactly. Now you've got all the money and you haven't got any, you can't buy anything, you can't do anything. So this to me is the magic, is to then go through these, there'll be different, again, different levels, nooks and crannies, what country, town, village, wherever you are in the world will be different. But this to me is the bigger creation of it. Now you need to open your eyes. And what can you give? There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lee.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works slightly. Couple of things. Chris, you mentioned, oh, you've moved. There you are. You mentioned something I'd like to bring to Huna's attention, and that's going back to the earth. And I'd like to bring up Lemurian consciousness for Huna to answer, but that's in a second, if you would. I'd also like to come back to something that Roman mentioned, which is really a part of something that I really enjoy. Now, when you're looking into the free energy stuff and the energetic works and that sort of stuff, how long has that been around for? And how long has it been suppressed for? And how much of it is actually already done? And how much of it is ready to roll? Cold fusion included, as well as 0 point, if you want to call it that, energy, and room temperature energies and those sort of things. They should be coming out pretty quickly, I think, especially if you look at the idea of med beds already, which is flying around. There's no point not discussing it. And if those photonic or plasmatic energy machines can do anything, then where did that technology come from? And one of the things that really does get to me about all this stuff with looking to the future is that if there is going to be a release or a disclosure, then there can't be a disclosure that leaves questions, because otherwise you get conspiracy theorists asking questions or conspiracy realists asking questions, and that fucks the system slightly. So there's got to be a disclosure of a certain level to keep the questions down. I know we should ask questions about everything, don't get me wrong, but there'll be the things we need to ask questions about shouldn't be the things that we're told are true. I'll just leave that one out there for a little bit. So free energy and medbed technologies and where did they come from? It's going to leave a void, big gap in knowledge if that isn't disclosed at a higher level, which could then take away a little bit of Danusha's issues with what do people do to create all this stuff. Well, people won't do it. People don't need to. People haven't needed to for an awful long time. People do it to keep them busy. For slaves in the system, if you like. That's all the reason they go to work to make some money to keep them busy whilst they're not thinking about what the system is. So if you break the system and destroy the system, which is what's happening at the moment, the chaotic compression, and from compression of energy comes growth. Again, we can come to the same things. Then that process could be quite quick. The monetary system and all the rest of it could fold quite quickly into this. The technology systems could fold quite quickly into this. And when you're looking at what would excite people, well, there's other planes, there's other places that we don't know about yet. that aren't in the mainstream that would excite people an awful lot. There's a lot of other, let's say, entities and brothers and sisters that may be around that would excite people an awful lot, and let them go and do that thing rather than the mundane, boring stuff they have been doing. Just an interesting aspect to it. Technology, and how will that progress over the coming year? How do we feel on that one?
Can I just say one little thing to add to that?
Go ahead, Chris.
Just if you imagine that scarcity is an illusion, like intended to, enslave us into the system. I mean, what would a complete abundance look like? It would look like operating from your passions, if there's no scarcity, then there's no homelessness, there's no lack, and it's like we can't comprehend that because we're so brainwashed into the system that we don't even know what that could even possibly look like. And so maybe we could explore what that could look like with free energy and operating from our dream state, from our passions.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm going to pop something in, and I see Danusha's hand again, so for sure I'll go back. I was going to say something connected to what Lee said and what Roman said, in that, Roman said that there's sort of this, I pictured a Taurus when he was talking about, going into chaos and out of chaos and sort of back around again and again. And I think taking a little bit of what Danusha said, a little bit of what Lee said, it was sort of like what I started to picture was just because things are about to change or there are changes happening doesn't necessarily mean when we take that step into more abundance that automatically things will fall into being in order again. There's going to be a period of transition. So there will be chaos even in the more abundant times, is what I was getting from what Lee was saying and from what Danusha was saying, is that just, it doesn't mean that, I mean, we were in that state of non-chaos for a long, long time. So who's to say that we won't be in the state of chaos and transformation and newness and all of that for a long period of time too, before things sort of settle back into more of an ordinary flow, if I can call it that. I don't like calling it that, but that's the only thing that comes to mind right now. So that, I just wanted to toss that in. Danusha, you had something else you wanted to add.
Everything makes sense because these are snippets of information, and we know we could talk for hours and hours, days and weeks with everybody's experiences, knowledge and wisdom, and everything everybody said does make sense. And to me, even as an example, if somebody's come to me and we've had some healing, they might need to go and rest. Your DNA and your cells on certain levels, and all of us will be able, we could all have a particular exact healing, but we're all going to deal with it different. And with all the billions of people around the world and the different energies, everybody will adapt in their way. So I believe in it all. The med beds, what that really means in my reality, I don't know. I hear about it. They could be tangible or not. What does that mean? I don't really know. We'll see. And I can only work in my, if you want to call it, healing world, to see things in different dimensions, how things worked, how your cells operate, how you can remove things from the body with such ease. If people call it, give it titles, I just call it quantum healing. Also as well, the beauty of, you could have a med bed, but what would be the reason for the use of that med bed? And then you'd have general modalities of healing where people can see the beauty of healing, the magic of it, because it's still connecting with the self ultimately. Yeah, we're just still connecting. So if everything fixes us in a short space of time, it's like the learning's just vanished again. And and I loved how Lee said it, there are so many different timelines. There are so many, beings, entities, aliens, there are many of them. And again, it's your connection to them and your reality of what dimension you're actually in and are able to embrace to be in. So people talk about 3D and 5D. Well, we're all of it. again, I know it's a phrase in that people are just holding on to and connecting with, but we're all of it. So to me, it's all, everything everybody says, it's all of it, and it has to be, because there's so many of us. We're a big plane.
Thank you. Yes, Lee. Or, sorry, I've forgotten your name.
D.
D, not Lee. D, thank you.
There's a Lee and a D.
Yeah.
I just want to say really quickly to what's been said so far, just the way that I see it is that it's in the quantum level, it's all of possibility. And what we create is the probable outcome of all that possibility. So it makes sense that if we are all working so hard on the healing, on dealing with our own personal shit, which I have in the last few days in particular, so I can really call it shit. It stands to reason that if we are working so hard on that now, and so many of us are coming together with this like-mindedness, which has its differences, but at its core, at its center is that love. That is it, then the abundance, then that is what we are creating. All of that, in that, all that possibility, we are creating that probability.
Thank you, Dee. I saw Roman's hand.
Yes, just wanted to give like a few definitions just to be sure that we all agree on what we're talking about. Like, this is my personal perspective, let's say. The word abundance for me is not a thing, it's a state. It's not about like what you possess, it's actually what you are. When you remember what you are, you don't need to own anything, you don't need to possess anything. When you remember that state of being the conjuncture between infinity and nothingness, which is what you are infinite and nothing at the same time, not one or the other, you are both. When you remember that you are nothingness and infinity, then therefore there's nothing to have more, because you are already everything that is and nothing at the same time. That's the other side, that's the other twin. You know, if you think that you're infinity, then you lose yourself. If you think that you're nothing, you have no self-care. So the idea is about finding both, remembering that you are everything that is and nothing, which is the definition of God. The definition of God is everything that is, like God can be everything that is or nothingness. The only thing that God cannot be is something, because when it becomes something, we become it. Reality becomes it. And that's just the easiest way to look at it. Every time you're going to start to put like a man or with a beard or woman or whatever spirit, like, or whatever names, you're going to reduce it. God is everything that could be except being, because when it becomes reality is it. Okay, so first definition, what is God? What is abundance? Abundance is remembering that you never own anything, that you never have anything. You're just a custodian of something. You're the custodian of your body, the custodian of your house, custodian of your car, the custodian of your money, whatever you want to call it. You're just a custodian, which means that you are a vessel. You're a vessel between the sky, which is infinity, and the earth, which is nothingness. You are connecting infinity to nothingness and nothingness to infinity. You are that vessel that allow energy, like the trees, to come from down to up and up to down, because that which is up is like that which is down, and so and vice versa. So just bringing back peace in people's heart and people's mind by just simply remembering obviousness. It's also obvious, it's just in front of our nose, but we forgot about looking at reality. We just forgot about it. We just like get caught into the storytelling and the whole like, yeah, the game, the creep show, the crazy show, call it whatever you want. But the obviousness is that the trees are us and we are the trees. I am you, you are me. I am this computer, I am this room, I am all this, but I forgot about it. Why? Because I need to experiment that individual experience that you call Roman. Meanwhile, I am a part of everything that is. Okay, I cannot be separated, because if I was separated, I wouldn't be able to interact. So if I can interact, I'm a part of it, and it is a part of me. But to be able to leave that perspective, because remember, God can be everything that is except something. So I need to forget that I'm everything that is to be able to leave this experience as something. And because I have consciousness, I can self-realize myself and remember, oh yeah, I'm a part of everything that is. and then go back into my life and pay my bill and live my experience. You know, but this is what abundance is all about. It's just to remember, abundance cannot be created because nothing ever be created. It can be manifested. It can be focused, and this is what the mind is doing. The mind is focusing on what you lack, and you're like, well, what about health? Well, health is a state of alignment, aligning every stage of your existence: the physical body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, and the spiritual body. If you're aligned with those four states: solid, liquid, gas, plasma, earth, water, air, fire, call it whatever you want to call it, the four elements, which is basically the two sides of infinity on one side, nothingness on the other side, and the two middle stage, the third trinity. When you understand all this, then health is just, okay, what do I need to change in my physicality to be able to heal my physical body? Food, water. What do I need to change in my emotional body to be able to receive and give everything? Emotional trauma. You need to heal that. What do I need to change in my mental programmation to be able to embrace new knowledge and stop this segmentation between good and bad? And this is again another programming. You need to embrace and the fact that nothing is ever bad, nothing is ever good. It's all sequential. Something that is bad right now will be good tomorrow, and something that is good today will be bad tomorrow. So it's all again sequential. So you need to heal your mind about that, and then you need to heal your soul by remembering that you are part of everything that is. And that's what health is all about. Health is not something that can be received or given. It is both. And it needs to be an alignment between all the different aspects of who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. We've not heard from a few people still. I see Benjamin, did you put up your hand there? Yeah, okay. Unmute yourself and pop in, Benjamin. Come and join us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I see what I see in the coming year is we are coming from a place of sudden, what do you call it, rest, or a sudden form of shaking. We have all been shaken by the event that happened in 2020. Actually, when you look at the number, there are two numbers repeating themselves, and then when you reduce all to a single digit, it becomes 4. And 4, like the last speaker said, numbers have meaning. Earlier he said earlier, well, when you look at the number 4 is the number of balance. Okay, so we have been taken through a shaking, and the whole world, everybody is looking for answers here and there. But we are entering into the age, we are entering into 2021. When you add all these numbers together, you get 5. And looking at 5 look like an S. Okay, and when you take the numbers 1 to 9, okay, the numbers, actually 0 is nothing. Okay, 5 is in the middle of it. Okay, so as the last speaker stated, the earth, wind, fire, all this. Okay, and when you look at these states, you see that the X or the 5 in the middle look like an ether, and ether mixes with everything, and it's help us in our creation. And what we are going to see in the coming years ahead is we have shifted consciousness. Actually, consciousness is at a high level, and therefore we will be seeing new inventions and new way of medicine popping up here and there, and new way of doing things. And society is gradually political power over a domain or over a group of people is gradually losing its grips on the people, and gradually everybody is shifting towards the community kind of consciousness. And there are people who believe in certain, way of life. And even with this mask, sometimes you get to places and people ask you, why are you not in mask? And then I'm just laughing, because for me, I don't see what they see. And people will be saying, put on the mask, and sometimes you just ignore them, because for an awakened mind, I mean, it's just a means of somebody trying to control you. And if you know who you are, you don't allow others to dictate to you. So in short, we are on the verge or on the precipice of a shift. Like the 5 is going to, suddenly shift. And 5 is a Mercurial number also. So we are going to see a lot of intelligence, higher intelligence of ideas being rolled onto us. The way we do things is going to be totally different as we progress. So this is what I have to, add to it. And as time I'll come back again.
High
Thank
five,
you, Benjamin.
High five.
Five.
Mr. Flash, Huna Flash, please.
Huna.
Hello. Benjamin, asante sana. Jambo jambo. Naitwa Kukuambuka, Benjamin. I remember your people.
Thank you.
Kukuambuka. Kukuambuka in the Swahili means remember.
Remember.
Eternal memory. In the Maori language, spoken as Wairuatapu. These are aspect languages of Lemuria. They're aspect languages of Lemuria. They are on the ground here. We are here. I share with you the language before Atlantis. This is what I'm sharing with you. This language is before Atlantis. Benjamin's language, many languages, at least the sharing of the 5 root race languages, not in form, but in essence. My name is Huna Mauta Kumara Taki. That is not a name, it is a light essence. It is a light in action. In form and in formless. I'm not human, I am in the human. As I understand all of you are in the human. Let me return you to 500 million years ago. Your memory, 500 million specific, in that ballpark. Not 6 billion, not 7 billion, not the creation of the planet exactly, but that particular moment. I return you there. As I shared this, we shared these language before Atlantis. This is the creation of Lemuria on the planet, on the ground, going from formless to form. First Lemuria, the first portal of Lemuria, the first golden age. There were 4 Lemuria spanned across millions of years. Even Cryon the Magnetic couldn't remember. Interesting, he couldn't remember. And he was sitting right there in New Zealand. It is a powerful understanding because that was a moment of convergence for us all. Here we are again at a moment of convergence. Call it the junction of Khan, if you like. To be together with Khan, with junction together. Let me welcome you to the age of Lemuria 5, the language before Atlantis, before Aquarius. Let me invite you to undistorted light before confusion. I invite you to undistorted light before confusion, before the English language, before the languages of Atlantis 1, 2, 3, and 4. Greece being second Atlantis. To a moment of the golden age, we are accelerating and propelling towards, certainly this month, if you want to call it a month. I call it the light of days. The Lemurian calendar is what is operating the system to allow Aquarius to return back to the sacred breath, which Aquarius means breath, the water breath. And all the zodiacs of those moments and those stargates to return to their intentions and return back to the beings and the containers that actually house those intentions. The birth signs of Lemuria, supernature. So I invite you in this moment to return you to the first portal of Lemuria, when you went from light into form, into a giant's beings, negotiating the coming of the next 3 Lemuria, and guaranteeing that the 5th Lemuria would return. Yes, there was an intention. We guaranteed this would return. And so we followed each other here. Huna simply means singularity, human, na meaning many. Singularity in the many, many in the singularity. We are inseparable. We are not connected. We are inseparable. We cannot be disconnected. It is impossible to disconnect us. Impossible. Talk to the cells in your body, they know all about that. We each share the electrical universe within our body. Yes, we are connected. That's because we are inseparable. We cannot be disconnected. It's impossible emotionally. Whatever words you want to claim, sovereignty if you'd like to claim, that is impossible. In my understanding, God is but an aspect of the child of light. And that the child of light is the infinite. This is the understanding of ancestral potentiality and historic potentiality converging. The eldest child is the youngest child of all of us. God, no, much more infinite than God, a child of light. The ancestor of the most ancient ancestor potentiality, that is the child, the first child, the elder source. I'm only sharing this with you to invite you to Lemuria 1, before the language of Atlantis, before distortion, before confusion. And then completing the sharing, and I agree with 100% everything everyone has spoken and shared here. We are aligned. There's no question. The the moment to get to know each other through the intellect, fine. Through the intellectual and the academics, through here in the moment to share with each other, fine. It's all good. What is the action of your light? Pinpoint that. And I will invite you, if I may, to some light in action. Is that okay? This will take just a minute. I promise it won't hurt. I don't tell you to wake up. I never tell anyone to wake up. I just wake you up. Repeat after me, please. If you would be so kind. I'll even do it in English for you.
Wait, I got to unmute. Okay.
Yes, unmute. Let's do this together. First light.
First light.
First light.
First light.
First breath.
First brain.
Brain.
First birth.
First birth.
First birth.
First birth.
First love.
First love.
Love.
First stone.
First
First
stone.
Stone.
First fire.
First fire.
Ma.
Ma.
Ha.
Ha.
Ah.
Ka.
Ah.
Wa.
Wa.
Ta.
Ta.
He.
He.
In the name of
In the name
Name
of
of
Ma.
the
Ma.
mother,
The mother.
the mother,
Mother.
the father,
Father.
father,
the child.
The
the
child.
child.
We remember you.
We remember.
We remember you.
Sa. Tihei.
Hey,
Maori.
Maori,
Ora.
Ora.
Thank you so much for allowing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are two people we haven't heard from yet. I want to give them the opportunity, if they choose to speak. No requirement necessary. I haven't seen JML in screen here for a while, so I'm not sure if he's still with us. But Anna, was there anything that you wanted to add to our conversation?
Well, it's hard to come after such personality and individual. I don't really know what to say, but I did have a couple of thoughts during this whole conversation. I love that we talk about big things, but I resonate deeply with all of you who were talking about healing, because all of this has to start on an individual level and within us. If we gave to the people all the free electricity, all the money, all the abundance, people as humanity, they would choke on that. If they are not healed on a personal level, they would go crazy. So this time, I feel lockdowns of people being locked in small spaces is necessary for them to meet themselves and to really see who they are, to remember. Because when we don't have so many distractions, we can be more within ourselves. And once we realize who we are, once we heal all the traumas, because traumas are different. Some traumas are like mine, for example, that appeared as a muscular disease 20 years ago. And it took me all this time trying to healing myself. I got from a point of not being able to eat, speak, or talk, or walk. I was on the ICU. I was already on the other side, and I had a chance to see why am I here, and I chose to come back. And now, and even after that, I try to live a normal life, have a normal job, do normal things, and nothing worked out, nothing. Until I realized that I have a different path. And this healing sometimes can take time. And this time of the transition is necessary for all of us to build this new world. Because otherwise it would be like winning a lotto. Most people who win a lotto, they lose it in 1 to 3 years because they still have the old mindset. They don't know how to deal with it. So it doesn't matter what comes from the outside. We need to change here. We need to be different people who will create the new physical world, because it's, even if it's 5D, it's still physical. We're still on this plane, right? And as Roman said, it's through love. It's through love, absolutely. But all the traumas, all the illnesses, all the physical problems that we may have, it's because the river of love was shut off somewhere. Somewhere it was our personal trauma. So sometimes it's ancestral trauma. But we have the ability to heal all of these traumas. And if we heal ourselves, we heal 7 generations back, and we heal 7 generations ahead. Because the change is already here. The consciousness is already here in us. Once we understand what it was for, what was the pattern, we don't need to repeat that pattern anymore. And it's on the personal level and on the global level. Once we understand that we don't need that slavery, we don't need to repeat that pattern anymore. But that's the way we can build something new, not the other way around.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Anna. That was lovely. An opportunity for anyone who wishes to say any final words, as I think we've just about covered everyone. Final thoughts. Randy and Huna.
Yeah, why not? I'm going to just pitch in a little bit. You know, we talked, I like the way that Anna just described, you know, what's going on and talking about where we live in a 3D, third dimension. And then go into just answering a little bit of what Lee discussed about where does the technology come from. So you can imagine this group of people and the consciousness and the wisdom and the intelligence that's in this group, and then take that to a group that is beyond the legal jurisdiction, okay, that we don't know about, you know. And there's technology out there and an economic kind of pattern, I'm going to call it, that is allowing them to create that technology too. And it's just humans. Like, this is my thoughts. I mean, I'm not saying anything against aliens or, you know, other races or whatever, but there are human beings that have done this and that are building technologically advanced aircraft and medical, you know, as we talked about, med beds, whatever. That's already happening. You know, I've personally been so enthralled with it that I traveled around the world to try and find that myself, to experience it and to see people. And I met people that I 100% believe, you know, a Chinese black man in New York City, for instance, and he's, you know, had carried weapons and whatnot too. And he talked about traveling in these, you know, aircraft that are beyond anything that we can think about. And it's human structure. So all I'm saying is that outside stuff, there's a lot going on there that's good, as well as, you know, some kind of cabal. Okay, there's good people that are involved in that next jurisdiction out of that legal illusory jurisdiction that we see. But you know, we can't lock ourselves into that and say that it's all bad at that next level, because there is technology, there is, you know, even in my city, like I swear and I know that these glass towers that surround me are collecting etheric energy. And how many other people even speak about something like that? But I know that, you know, I just know it. And it's like, no, they're bringing in something from some coal plant or gas-fired power plant and driving it into these buildings to light them. No, they're producing more than enough energy to feed their own building and pump it back out into the wires that are under the ground. So that's all I kind of wanted to add. And a big thank you to everybody. My God, my heart is just exploding right now. It's just beautiful, and my mind, because there's more information in here that's been shared by everyone that, you know, resonated with me, and I hope it's resonating with our audience, you, the gold that's out there listening to this, and they want to join us next time, you know. So I'll stop there with peace, harmony, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day on my mind, and let you tidy it up or let everybody else say their thing. So thank you, William, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Randy. Huna.
Thank you. Just to complete, and thank you all very much. Yes, I would like to cast your attention to January 8th. January 8th, in particular to the North Star, what we refer to as the apex. January 8th is the 8th month of the Lemurian calendar. The apex North Star opens into the Lion's Gate. The Lion's Gate in Lemuria is the 8th month of the Lemurian calendar. This purging of the distorted light energies so we can invite the replacement energies of undistorted light is being captured in the North Star and then purged through there through a series of Lemurian stargates. Different frequencies than what you're used to speaking now. So I wanted to share that, and in the short term that this is coming up, you may see a flash of light. This is where you will see the flash of light. As the purge happenings from the apex into the Lion's Gate, the coronation of all Lion Queens and Lion Kings, meaning the royal family of Earth, have been crowned during Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so I would share that. And I have one last calculation to share with you in mathematics. E times 4 equals E equals MC squared. E times 4 equals E equals MC squared. Everything for everyone, everywhere, every day. There is little need for anything. E equals MC squared. relation. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again.
Yes.
Thank you, Huna. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
We done?
We're done.